On-demand water heaters are great. You can get electric on demand, you can get gas on demand, depending on your needs. What I am going to do is electric, and they're amazing. I mean, you don't just think of all the advantages. You don't have to constantly heat a tank full of water, which costs you in terms of energy. You don't have the corrosion, and the smell and the sediment in the hot water heater. There's just not as much risk of leak and structural damage with all that water stored. They take up a lot of space. Sometimes you have to put them in a place that's hard to access, et cetera, et cetera. So there are a lot of good reasons to invest in an on-demand water heater when it's time to switch out. I am standing in one of my properties. It's a rental property. It's a mobile home. And I've got my circuit panel open. In fact, I've taken this breaker out right here for the water heater. It's a double breaker, and it was, I think, a 20 amp or 30 amp for the old water heater, which is, step in here, in this closet, right in that nook. So what I've got is this Ecosmart 11, and look at the size of this thing. It's amazing. And the reason I'm using this is because when I bought a camper, the stationary camper that was at a campground that, the kind that never moved, but it was a sizable camper, like over 30 feet. And it had an Ecosmart in it, and it worked great. And we would have 2 or 3 guests, and nobody reported any problems with the hot water. It services a sink and a shower at the same time, basically. So this Ecosmart is about, I would say 6 pounds. And here's your inlet for your wire. And it comes with parts. You see you have compression fittings, you get those little compression rings. You've got a bushing, whatever you need to get whatever size you want. This is the outer compression fitting here. And it's got, both of them. Here's the switch, the dial that goes on here. All right, so let's start at the beginning. First of all, when you're getting ready to start this job, if you're taking out an old tank water heater, go ahead and start that draining, which I've done. The newer kind, you have to use a screwdriver to loosen it, to open the valve, rather than the handle. Remember the old kind had a spigot handle? Well, they no longer have those. Now I've got the power turned off. As I said, I pulled the breaker out, and I've got the water shut off incoming to this, obviously. I've got my dolly ready. I'm gonna get it out of here. I have bought a 60 amp breaker, and for these Ecosmart 11 units, you need 6 gauge wire. So number 6 wire. So I'm just gonna have two blacks and a ground. It's going to be pretty easy. Now, if you are uncomfortable, don't ever mess with wiring. If you got that little voice inside of your head saying, I'm not sure about what I'm doing, I hope I don't hurt myself or kill myself, hire a professional, because it is so worth it to pay not to die, okay? So don't take chances. And also, you don't want to damage your water heater. But 60 amp breaker and 6 gauge wire. All right, so let's look at this first. I went way overboard and bought every conceivable part that I might need, including all these fittings. And it turns out that in my situation, I'm going to be able to go through this knockout. You see how there's a knockout right here on the back of this unit, and go right through here. I've already got a hole ready, and the wires can just go right through there. So in fact, either one of those holes I can go right through and just wire into here. So you have your green, your ground connected here just to that wire nut that's provided. Just tie it in, and then you have both your black legs in the terminals right there. Just strip your wires and stick them in and tighten them down, and that's pretty much it. Really, I had wire in my shed, the 6 gauge wire, So really I need almost nothing except a couple of fittings to attach the plumbing. Slight change of plans. I decided that I will actually put the water heating unit on the opposing wall just to give me easier access, and the layout works better because I'm putting also a water filter. To make it so that I'm not putting foul water through this little water heater, I'm roughing in right now a pre-filter. And that is a really good idea, especially if you are in areas with poor water quality or well water with a lot of minerals. It's just a really good idea to, I mean, rust and stuff. You don't want that to go through there. So this is a series of quick connects and shrimps and pieces and parts. So basically it might look complex to somebody who doesn't do this a lot, but it's just an inlet, and again I've employed my valve, and the inlet goes in, water filter comes, and it comes out of the water filter, then it comes up and around, and the inside of the intake of the heater, and then the outlet for the hot water. Just gently tap that with a screwdriver from the other side, not jostling the unit too much. There we go. Now I have wire access. Now this product comes with a mounting template, so you see your mounts where your screws go. You drop this onto the screws that are in the wall, and this is going to show you exactly where your holes need to be on your wall. So this will go right in here. You want to grab a level. Just level it up and make your marks. A few inches. But these parts cost me about 15 bucks a piece. And they match, they go with this, added nipple that comes with this kit. 1/2 inch female to 3/4 inch female packs, which is what I have in that closet. So that's what I'm going to do. Need parts. These are the kind of things you'll need. This is just a wiring piece of wiring conduit, and you just run your wire through here and you screw it into here. It's not that hard. This stuff is just. And by the way, this whip cost me, I believe, $27. There it is, the wire whip. And then the breaker cost me, I believe, this 60 amp double pole breaker cost me about 18 bucks. There it is right there. 60 amp breaker. Okay. So I've got my water heater. As you can see, it is set on those mounting screws. And be sure to tape all of your threaded connections really well with Teflon tape so that you don't have leaks. Okay, that's secure. And then I've got the wire started, running it through some conduit. I had to lay this down on the floor here to wire it. You see the 2 wires coming from the breaker, the 2 black wires, and then the green wire. Now it doesn't really matter what location you put these wires in. All right, so I have it wired. I can put some brackets to attach that to the wall. Yep. Now I have the 2 runs of black wire coming from the water heater into the breaker panel, and I am just attaching them to the breaker now, the 60 amp breaker, and it doesn't really matter which side you put which wire in. Now, of course, you want to be damn careful with this wiring. Again, you don't want to electrocute yourself, so turn your main off on your panel just to be on the safe side. All right, I have my new system. Now, I'm going to, before I turn that on, I think you're supposed to run water through it for a little while. And I just want to check for leaks, make sure, and hopefully nothing is leaking. And if it is, I'll have to shut it off and I'll readjust. All right, I don't hear any hissing or spitting or dripping. That's good. I don't know why. I just reused this elbow that was on here. I don't like these. I don't like these. I may have to just come and cut them all out when we get rid of all this polybutylene pipe. So, but anyway, it's running. I'm gonna run the sink for a minute. Hot water valve. You want to be sure that you have water running through your hot water heater before you turn it on. Okay, here we go. That's nice and hot. It's getting hotter by the second. All right. And that's it. I have on-demand hot water now. Excellent. Okay, it is done and I am ecstatic. This is fantastic. No leaks. Water is warming on demand. It's great. Quick, easy adjustment, you know, up and down with the temperature. Nothing to it. And we will be able to clean this space up, put a door here, and rent this unit out. Love it. Okay. Well, thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you on the next video.